Hi there, I'm Rob from Graylog. I'm going to give you a quick demo of how Graylog API security helps you discover your APIs, identify threats and risks, and improve your API attack surface by blocking malicious users. API security starts with discovering what APIs you have and how they are being used and abused in your real runtime environments. Our summary view starts with some top-level KPIs for all API calls captured over the last 2 weeks. We could start drilling in right here to see details about the high risk or medium risk calls identified, but let's hold off on that for a second. Our top-level KPIs are broken down by signature, where signatures are specific kinds of events, and broken down by domain, where the domain comes from the URL. The signature summary shows attacks and failures that the system has automatically discovered. The most severe issues are listed first, each with a spark line showing recent activity. As we'll see a little later, it's easy to create new signatures that are specific to your APIs and threats. We can also see discovered APIs by domain. This includes cases where domains are missing or where public or private IP addresses are used instead. This system hasn't been configured yet, but it's already separated the direct IP traffic, which is typically from port scanners, from the rogue traffic, which is the default bucket. Let's drill into the rogue calls, which shows all the API hosts in this group. We'll add CoinBroker.io to the monitored list because this is a valid supported domain that we want the system to track. We'll put the Pepper in space domain on the prohibited list to indicate that this domain is not supposed to be used. We can flag a group of related domains, like these AWS domains, as a single group. When I start monitoring one of these AWS domains, its related domains are rolled up too. When we return to the summary, we see that we've been able to classify 99% of the risk discovered in these API calls with just a few mouse clicks. Most of the risk comes from the CoinBroker.io application, with risk from public IP access coming in second. If the development team launches new APIs without telling anyone, those new domains will show up in the rogue group, just like we saw before. With Graylog, understanding your APIs doesn't require extensive configuration or developer-level knowledge. It's easy for a security analyst to discover and classify APIs without knowing much more at first, besides what domains are supposed to be supported. When we drill down on a signature, we'll see a description and a suggested remediation for the signature, plus all the supporting detail we need to understand what happened. In this case, the system has detected that email addresses are being leaked in response to an attack. If we look at the details for one of these, we see that all the request and response details are available. The request body has some kind of exotic script injection attack. These kinds of attacks are extremely common, but most of the time they bounce off with a 404 or server error. But here the injection attack causes a leaked runtime exception in the response body, and the exception message contains sensitive details that were useful for internal debugging. This login ID was the original customer email address. This is masked out here for safety, but was visible to the attacker. This exception exposes the details about a single customer, and if the attacker repeats this process over and over, they can quietly steal the entire database over a span of weeks or months. If we add a filter on the attacker just by clicking on that row, and then widen the search from this one signature to all calls, we can see all the traffic that this specific attacker has generated over the last 2 weeks. We have a complete record of which attacks have failed and which have succeeded. Ultimately, we think about managing attackers like a monitored domain or any other kind of asset. In this case, we'll mark the client address as a blocked attacker. This little pirate emoji will be shown next to the client address everywhere, so that it's obvious that this is a known attacker. You can also flag a client address as a suspected attacker or a trusted pen tester. If you're using Graylog API security and Graylog security together, the blocked attackers will be blocked at the firewall, giving the organization time to address the underlying exploit. Because the classification tools are right here, the security analyst doesn't have to leave the API security console to block a new attacker. which shaves precious minutes off each case like this. Graylog security integration also brings additional capabilities to auto-discover attackers for completely automated blocking. Behind all of these use cases, we have an open source data plane based on Trino and Iceberg, where all the request and response details are searchable. You aren't limited to the searches and signatures implemented in the UI, but are free to filter data however you like. Here's this big list of all the specific details that I could use for filtering, but I'm going to take the easy route and just search for eval-looking functions by typing directly into the search bar. I can refine this search by adding more filters or looking at a shorter or longer period of time. Once I've found what I'm looking for, I can share the results of my search, either by exporting the relevant data in a variety of formats or by saving the search as a signature, which is what I'm going to do now. Your installation includes a catalog of predefined signatures to get you started. Everything you're seeing here is out of the box, except for that one signature I just created as an example. The highlighted signatures are those matched in the last 14 days. Each signature has a description, suggested remediation, severity, and alerting policy. The text fields here are Markdown, so the description and remediation can include links to your wikis or runbooks and include code snippets too. We can't talk about alerting without talking about alert fatigue. Since public API environments are generally pretty noisy, our alerts are deduplicated so that you'll get at most one alert per day per signature. You can further limit alerting only to days that are statistical breakouts. I'm sure we've all seen systems where the design goal was apparently to generate as many alerts as possible, but our goal here is to provide highly curated alerts that are informative without ever being overwhelming. Each signature can use the default alerting webhook configured for the installation or a webhook that is unique to the signature. This makes it easy to bring alerts into ChatOps platforms like Slack or Teams, or deliver alerts to other platforms that can ingest these standard webhooks. And of course, there's a lot of those. When you're using webhook alerts, these are one-way notifications. These webhook alerts never have to be acknowledged or closed by a human operator, because frankly, nobody wants that job. Or you can skip webhook configuration entirely and choose to process these alerts through Graylog Security, which gives a larger set of capabilities. Ultimately, you can run Graylog API Security on its own and send webhook alerts wherever you want them to go, or you can leverage the incident response and asset management capabilities that Graylog Security brings and unlock the ability to detect lateral movement between APIs and other managed assets. Whether you're using Graylog API Security on its own or the whole Graylog suite, you'll get the benefits of a proven open source architecture, a joyous analyst experience, and unmatched support and professional services from friendly folks like me who love helping our customers sleep better at night. This demo just scratches the surface of what Graylog can do to discover your APIs, detect risks and data exfiltrations, and manage security incidents more effectively. Please visit us online at graylog.org to learn more.